am Dhruv Saxena and I would be taking your class of environmental management. In this session, we will be talking about the introductory part of your subject, environmental management. So, without further delay, let us start with our subject. So, environmental management and introduction. Okay, so first, we need to understand the definition of environmental management. So, the textbook definition of environmental management is written here on your screen. Environmental management can be defined as the management of the interaction and impact of human activities on the natural environment. So, if we break this definition into parts, then we will be able to understand it better. So, let us break this definition. So, environmental management is the management of the interaction. So, it is the interaction which has to be managed, and it is the management of interaction and also impact of what? Impact of human activities on the natural environment. Okay, so this defines our environmental management. There are further definitions of environmental management which are on your screen. You can see environmental management consists of organizing different environmental initiatives to address various ecological issues that are affecting the globe. So that means environmental management is consisting of many different types of activities through which we would be addressing the ecological problems, the problems that are there on the globe, the global level of natural problems. Then, environmental management leads with trying to prevent ecological disaster as well as aiding in environmental crisis and trying to find appropriate solutions. Another definition could be environmental management looks at land, marine, and atmospheric conditions such as global warming, marine life preservation, and deforestation. So, all these factors, all these components are encompassed in the definition of environmental management. Okay, now let us move further. The concept of environmental management. As you can see on your screen, environmental management is entirely an emerging and dynamic concept. So, environmental management is a new concept. It wasn't there till 1987. It has just emerged. And it is a very dynamic concept. Environmental management takes parts from social sciences, from environmental sciences, as well as management. So, it is a dynamic concept. The main of the environmental management is to ensure that we leave the planet in a healthy state for future generations and to help preserve all forms of life, including marine life as well as vegetation. So, this is what we actually call sustainable development. So, our main aim of environmental management is to achieve a sustainable development. We have to ensure that we leave this planet on which we live on in a very healthy state for our future generations so that they can also enjoy its fruits as we do. Then, environmental management is concerned with the management of environment encompassing a business. So, this is where we come in, we, the managers, come in. So, environmental management is concerned with management of environment encompassing a business. So, how does a business affects the natural environment? That has to be managed. And that is why we are studying this subject of environmental management. Okay, then it represents the organizational structure, responsibilities, sequences, processes, and preconditions for the implementation of an environmental corporate policy. So, in this, we would say that we have to implement environmental corporate policies. In corporate, we have to implement policies which undertake the fulfillment of environment as well. So, environmental management represents the organizational structure, responsibilities, etc., which are helpful in making such a corporate policy. Then, environmental management is applied for both short-term and long-term concerns. It is the integration of natural as well as social sciences, as I mentioned earlier. Then, environmental management is also the integration of policy making and planning. Okay, now moving further. Okay, so now let us take up the concept of environmental management. what actually is environmental management? So, environmental management is entirely an emerging and a dynamic concept. So, environmental management has recently been introduced. It was introduced in 1980s, and it is a recent concept. And since environmental management encompasses the social sciences, the natural sciences, as well as our management, that is why it is a very dynamic concept. Okay. The main aim of environmental management is to ensure that we leave the planet in a healthy state for future generations and to help preserve all forms of life, including marine life and vegetation. So, the main aim of environmental management is sustainable development. This is what we call sustainable development. So, in sustainable development, we have to ensure that we leave our planet in a very healthy state for our future generations so that they can also have the fruit of nature as we do. Okay, then environmental management is concerned with the management of environment encompassing a business. So, here is where we, the managers, walk in. So, environmental management is concerned with management of environment. That encompasses a business. A business has its implications in environment as well. To manage those implications, we study the environmental management. Okay, then it represents the organizational structure, responsibilities, sequences, processes, and preconditions for the implementation of an environmental corporate policy. So, in our corporate life, we have to make corporate policies which involve environment. So, the organizational structure, the responsibilities, and the sequences, etc., which come under creating such environmental corporate policies, are encompassed in environmental management. Environmental management is applied for both short-term and long-term concerns. It is both short-term as well as long-term. Then, integration of natural and social sciences, as I already mentioned, it is an integration of both the natural sciences as well as the social sciences. Then, it is also the integration of policy making as well as planning. Okay, now we will be moving further. So, the next is need of environmental management. Why do we actually need environmental management? Why are we studying environmental management? What is the cause? What is the reason? Let us have a look. So, we study environmental management to prevent and solve environmental problems. See, we have many environmental problems nowadays like pollution, air pollution, land pollution, noise pollution, etc. We have natural calamities as well. So, how are we going to solve those problems? We have to know. So, that is why we study environmental management. Then, environmental management is needed to develop research and monitoring. Environmental management is needed to warn of threats and identify opportunities. I would like to take an example on this point to warn threats and identify opportunities. Nowadays, we are talking about EVs. EVs are electric vehicles. So, when we are talking about electric vehicles, we are also talking about the electric vehicle batteries. Nowadays, a new issue is about the disposal of electric vehicles batteries. So, when we are not able to dispose of electric vehicles batteries, it is an environmental threat because those batteries secrete toxic waste. And if we are concerning it as an opportunity, then it is an opportunity, because if we can find out any solution of disposing of electric waste like electric vehicles batteries and other components, this is a business opportunity for us. So, environmental management gives us the opportunities as well as it warns us of the threats. Okay, next comes to suggest measures for resource conservation. So, how are we going to conserve the natural resources? What are the measures through which we can conserve our natural resources? Comes under the need of environmental management. Environmental management is needed for long-term or short-term sustainable development. As I have mentioned earlier, sustainable development is of utmost importance. And for that, environmental management is needed. Then, environmental management is needed to develop a strategy to solve the environmental issues. So, we discussed that there are many environmental problems. But how are we going to address them? How are we going to solve them? the ways are given to us by environmental management. That is why it is important. That is why it is needed. Okay, going further. Now, the most important part of environmental management as a whole is sustainable development. But before we study about sustainable development, we will be seeing what actually is development. So here are some definitions of development. So generally, development is the gradual growth of a situation that becomes more advanced and stronger than previous one. So suppose you are in a situation, then you advance to another situation. You are advancing to a stronger situation. Then we would say that you are developing. So the gradual growth of a situation that becomes more advanced and stronger than previous one is known as development. In another definition, we can say development is an unfolding of human potential for meaningful participation in economic, social, political, and cultural process and institutions so that people can improve their conditions. So the unfolding of human potential for meaningful participation, for participation in economic, socio-political, and cultural processes is also known as development. Okay, so this is the definition of development. Now let us see sustainable development. So sustainable development in its best definition is a development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. We will break down this definition again to understand it properly. So again, sustainable development is a development. Number one, it is a development that meets the needs of the present generation. It should meet the need of our generation, the present generation, without compromising the ability of future generations. So it should not compromise the ability of the future generations so that they can also meet their own needs. Like we are meeting our needs today, we want our next generation also to meet their daily needs every day. So that is why we need sustainable development. So this definition was given to us by Gro Harlem Brundtland. Now Gro Harlem Brundtland introduced the concept of sustainable development in 1987. So as I said, it is a new concept. It is a comparatively new concept as it has just generated in 1987. Okay, now you would ask, who was Mr. Gro Harlem Brundtland? So Mr. Gro Harlem Brundtland was the then Prime Minister of Norway. Norway, you know, is a country in Upper Scandinavia in Northern Europe. He was the Prime Minister of Norway, and he was also the chairman of World Commission on Environment and Development. It is a United Nations Commission for Environment and Development. He was the chairman of it. So he, in his speech in 1987, gave the definition of sustainable development. Okay, then if you can see in this diagram here, sustainable development does a balancing act. Sustainable development balances the improvement of lifestyle and well-being with preserving natural resources and ecosystems. These are two activities which we have to perform. First, we have to improve our lifestyle and well-being, but doing so, we also have to preserve the natural resources and the ecosystems. So when we can do these things in a balanced way, when we can do these both activities in a very balanced way, then we can say that sustainable development has been implemented. Okay, so this is how you can picture sustainable development, like a balancing act. It balances the well-being, the human well-being with natural resource conservation. So this is sustainable development. Then there are some examples of sustainable development. Now, the first example is solar energy. Solar energy, as you already know, is a new form of energy. We are very much in development of equipments for solar energy. It is an example of sustainable development. So, the greatest advantage of solar energy is that it is completely free and it is available in a limitless supply. And now this is solar energy. We have our sun. So sun is giving us sun rays. It never takes any money from us for its sun rays. It is totally free and it is in a limitless quantity. The whole day we are getting sun rays. So we produce electricity using the sun's rays. Using the light of the sun, we produce electricity. That is why we call it solar energy. Okay. And since it is available in a limitless and a free supply, so these factors provide a huge benefit to consumers and they also help reduce pollution. It is a totally pollution free form of energy. There is no pollution in solar energy. The sun rays fall upon the solar panels and it creates electricity. There is no cost involved, there is no pollution involved. All the cost that is involved is of the cost of the solar panels and the supporting equipments. Okay. Now, solar energy helps replacing non-renewable energy with this type of energy, and it is both environmentally and financially effective. So solar energy is both environmentally effective as well as financially effective because it is good for environment, it does not pollute, and it also has financial benefits as it is free of cost. Okay, then another example is of wind energy. So wind energy is readily available. It is a very readily available energy source. It only necessitates the use of windmills. So the only investment that we have to do in wind energy is in the windmills, in the equipment that is involved in making up the windmills. Okay. Then wind energy can supplement or even replace the cost of grid power. What is grid power? The normal electricity that we get from power plants. It is supplied to the power grid and power grid gives it to our homes. So wind energy can supplement or even replace the cost of grid power. And thus, it is a good investment and remains a great example of sustainable development. Okay, next example is crop rotation. When you were young, in your earlier classes, you might have studied about crop rotation. What was crop rotation? Like it is given in the diagram here. First we grow maize, then in the same field we grow cabbage. In the same field after cabbage we grow peas, and after peas in the same field we grow tomatoes. So it is what? Crop rotation. Crop rotation is very beneficial for soil because it improves the cultivability as well as the fertility of the soil. Now, crop rotation is a farming practice that is beneficial in several ways. And the most notable way is that it is chemical free. It is organic. Then, crop rotation has been proven to maximize the growth of potential of land. As I said, it increases the fertility while also preventing diseases and insects in the soil. So it works also as pesticide. We do not need pesticide when we are undertaking crop rotation. So if we take such methods in farming, then we will be achieving the sustainable development. Another example of sustainable development is efficient water fixtures. So, as it is written here, you can see on your screens, it takes a lot of energy to produce and transport water and to process wastewater. So, since less than 1% of the Earth's available water supply is fresh water, it is important that sustainable water use is employed at individual and societal levels. Okay, so these were the examples of sustainable development. Now, let us move further in the sustainable development scenario. Next comes the 3 pillars of sustainability. Okay, sustainability is, yes, involved in sustainable development. You can consider sustainability as sustainable development. So what could be the 3 pillars of sustainability? So as you can see on the screen, the 3 pillars are the 3 parameters of sustainable development through which sustainable development can be achieved. The 3 pillars are social pillar, environmental pillar, as well as economic pillar. So social, environmental, and economic. These are the 3 pillars which have the whole weight of sustainability on them. If any one of the pillar becomes weak, then the whole system of sustainability becomes unsustainable. So, these pillars are among the most important parts of sustainability. Now, let us talk more about the three pillars of sustainability. Now, the three pillars of sustainability, as you can see in the diagram on your screens, the social, the environmental, and economic pillar are interrelated. When they are all implemented at the same time, then it becomes a sustainable development. As you can easily see in the diagram, they are all interacting with each other. Now, social sustainability. Social sustainability is the ability of a social system, such as a country, a family, or an organization, to function at a defined level of social well being and harmony indefinitely. So, in social sustainability, what we want? We want social systems. Social systems like a country, like a family, like a fraternity, etc. We want social systems to function at a defined level of well being. We want them to function well. We want their well being. And we want them to be in harmony indefinitely. Not for a limited period of time, we want it for infinite time. Indefinitely, we want it to be in harmony. We want it to be in a well being. Then, what is environmental sustainability? As it is written here, environmental sustainability is the ability of the environment to support a defined level of environmental quality and natural resource extraction rates indefinitely. So, here the word indefinitely comes again. So, what does environmental sustainability says? It says that it is the ability of the environment to support a defined level of environmental quality. So, we are supporting the environment as well as we are supporting the resource extraction, but we are supporting it indefinitely. So, the environment can support us indefinitely is environmental sustainability. Then comes economic sustainability. Economic sustainability is the ability of an economy to support a defined level of economic production indefinitely. So, an economy should support an economic production indefinitely. Then only it will be called as economic sustainability. Now, going further, these are the desired outcomes of sustainable development. So, what are the outcomes of sustainable development? What do we want out of sustainable development? All these all these factors are listed in front of your screen. So, we want from sustainable development clean water, clean air. We want fertile soil and good food from sustainable development. We want a livelihood and a healthy economy. We want an optimum population size. We want to halt global warming. And we want safety from poverty and diseases. That is what well-being is known as. Safety from poverty and diseases, being well. Then we also want social contact and sense of community. We should be a part of a community. We should be in contact with our social peers. That is what we want. Then we want work, rest as well as celebration. We want to work, we want rest with work, and then we want to celebrate our life. And we also want opportunities to learn. So this is what we desire from sustainable development. So with this, I would like to end my today's session with you.